We all know how ugly energy prices are getting. It's going to be a difficult winter for a lot of people. I've used a number of calculators, looked at research and read articles, plus I've looked at my own home's historical heating costs. Here are some scary statistics. Number 1, the average natural gas bill in Alberta, Canada is $183 a month. I can vouch for that, and that's not including electricity either. Number 2, Time magazine just had a really well-researched article about the US that showed natural gas furnaces will cost an average of $952 this year, while electrical furnaces will cost $1,300 US on average. The cost of energy in the UK is rising at a ridiculous pace, with the average annual gas and electricity bill for a typical person being £2,500. With this in mind, I'm going to show you how I have set up my home to save about 22% on my heating bill this winter, and conversely, about 22% off the air conditioning bill in the summer. Hello Automators, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Brian from Automate Your Life, and if you haven't already heard of the Energy Challenge, it's an initiative I'm very passionate about because we're bringing together some of the best smart home creators out there today to show you different ways you can save energy. Now, Paul Hibbert and I decided to challenge each other to an energy off battle, and SwitchBot has sponsored us to see which one of us could save more energy using their products, at least primarily. We're going to combine them with other solutions. Paul put up a great fight, and he's released his video where he managed to save 318 pounds in the next year. But we Canadians live in the frozen tundra, and that's a huge benefit, at least in this challenge. Probably the only time it's a benefit. That and for hockey. My home uses natural gas and electricity in a combined high-efficiency furnace in order to heat my home. It's really efficient already, but a recent research paper showed that if I allow the temperature to fall for 8 hours a day, I could easily save 11% on my heating costs, and likely more. I thought I would check that versus some other calculators though, just to verify. This tool is linked in the description below for you to check average costs for your own home, but you can also check your bills, and when I matched up my bills with this tool, it worked out pretty well. We have some more heating costs because it's a little bit colder than Connecticut, where this tool is based on. But I set the home size and I set the efficiency of my natural gas heater. It comes out around $2,496 a year to heat my home. That's really close to my bills here, okay? Just in Canadian dollars. Regardless, whatever your bill is today, this tool allows you to set the average heat setting in the home. If I reduce that setting just a few degrees, and even in Fahrenheit, the savings are massive. You can see that it drops to around $1,687 US for a 6-degree Fahrenheit change. That would be a 32% reduction in bills. Of course, I'm not suggesting that you're going to sit in the cold all the time, but we can set up thermostats and other devices to change the temperature and to lower the overall temperature in our home for some of the day. Many of you with a smart thermostat can do this in a really easy way by lowering the temperature whenever you leave your home. You can do the same thing with a dumb or regular thermostat that allows you to schedule the temperature changes. So whenever you have an opportunity, you should schedule your thermostat to lower that temperature in winter, and in summer, raise it up so you're not using your AC so much. But there are a few reasons that this might not work out for you. Number 1, your smart thermostat might not be able to identify when everyone has left your home. Many of the big brands can, but not all. And if yours can't, you should be able to modify what I do here today to make it work with your smart thermostat. Number 2, you might not work on a consistent schedule, so you can't schedule a thermostat during the day. Number 3, you might have a dumb thermostat that can't be scheduled at all. My thermostat does have a scheduling feature, but I can't set it because of my lifestyle. I also can't change out the thermostat because this is a rental property. Those could all be real reasons you've been stuck with a fairly static temperature being used in your home. These are the reasons why I combined 2 SwitchBot products to make it so that every time we leave the home, we can drop our temperature and save money. The first device is SwitchBot's contact sensor, which costs $32 Canadian today. Most contact sensors are simple sensors that tell you when a door has been opened or closed, which SwitchBot's contact sensor can do. But it has 3 extra components to it. It has a motion sensor, a light sensor, and this little button on it. So it's like 3.5 devices in one. The second device is SwitchBot's Bot. It's a powerful little button pushing device that can press buttons, but also can act as a light switch toggle. Also, recently, they added a new custom feature to it that allows you to press buttons as many times in a row as you would like. That's actually really important for what I'm doing here today. Do keep in mind that to do any of this, you will require a SwitchBot Hub Mini. It connects all of these products together and allows you to automate these savings, as well as allowing you to connect to other systems like Amazon, Google Home, HomeKit even in some cases, Samsung SmartThings, and if this then that. Now here's what I did to set this up. The first thing was to test that my thermostat could be pressed by a SwitchBot bot. My thermostat is a haptic touchscreen, which means it responds to pressure and not heat like some touchscreens. You can test this with the back of a pen or pencil. Then I set up a bot in the SwitchBot app. Setup in the app is as easy as pressing the plus button at the top of the page and following the prompts. It takes just a few minutes, and if you're having trouble, then make sure you're near the hub. I also have links to tutorials in the description below so you can get any extra help you might need. My third step was to name the bot and prepare its settings. I called it ThermoBot, and I went into its device settings, and I had to make sure that it was updated to the latest firmware so I could get that new custom feature. Then I went into those settings again, went into mode and chose custom mode. Here you'll find 2 options. It says action combo on and action combo off. Each one of those is a sequence that you can create, and therefore if you press the on button in the app for ThermoBot, you would start the action combo on sequence. Obviously you could press the off button in the app and start the action combo off sequence. So I set up action combo on and chose to execute a button press 5 times. I chose a 0-second hold time, which is how long the arm stays extended for, and I chose an interval of 1 second between each button press. You can pick those options for yourself and your thermostat. In the next step, I tested this feature by just holding the bot against where I thought I would be placing it. I made sure that it was pressing my thermostat's down button and that I wouldn't scratch the screen with the bot. I don't see that happening often, but if you're worried, you could just use one of those little furniture pads cut down over your button on your thermostat. Then I peeled off the 3M sticky tape off the back of the bot, and I used this double-sided nano tape because it tends to be easier to get off later. Plus, I can use a lot less, so it really helps that way. Then I tested a few times just to make sure that it was turning down my thermostat and then it was gonna stay stuck to it. So now anytime I could press the on button for the ThermoBot in the app to turn down my temperature 2.5 degrees. I could also ask Google Home or Amazon Voice Assistant to turn on ThermoBot, and because I have SwitchBot connected to SmartThings, I could do an automation in that system to turn on the ThermoBot. And SmartThings and Google Home are both pretty good at recognizing when everyone is out of the home with their presence sensing in their app. But one of the problems with those is that they can fail, or they just might not be accurate all the time. They're systems that are based on GPS, and people regularly have them inaccurately say they're still at home. So instead, this is where I use 2 of SwitchBot's contact sensors. Here's what I did with those. Firstly, I set up both of them in the application, and I called one my garage door and one my front door. Then I went into the settings for each of those 2 contact sensors, and there I found the exit option, which When you press it, you'll get an explanation that you can either use the button on this to indicate that you are leaving or use the onboard motion sensor. For us, I chose the button, and we will simply set this as a household rule where if you're leaving, you press the button and then you open the door. So within the exit settings, I chose the exit by pressing the button, and I gave myself 15 seconds to then open the door. In most cases, I'll press the button and immediately open the door. So that works. I again took off their 3M sticky tape and replaced it with that nano tape. And then I stuck each of them to the door with the smaller part on the door frame and the larger part on the door itself. Then I tested to make sure that they were showing open and closed when I thought they should. Now I have all of my devices physically installed, but I need to create an automation, or a few, to turn down my thermostat whenever the last person exits our home. This is as easy as creating what's called a scene in SwitchBot's app. So I went into the scenes feature and created a new one. I hit add a condition and chose my garage door sensor. Once inside of the options for that contact sensor, I chose contact, and then I chose that exit event and hit save. Just so you understand what happens here, anytime that exit event occurs with my garage door sensor, it will run all of the actions that are below or added below it in this scene. However, I have the front door sensor and I want to use that. So I chose to add another condition, chose the front door sensor and that same exit option for that device. Then at the top of those conditions, it says when all conditions are met. Tap that and you can choose when any of the conditions is met. That means when either the garage door or front door sensor know that an exit is happening, those actions will start. So this is where we add Thermostat. I chose Thermostat in the list of devices, and then I chose to run the custom combo action on. And finally, I hit create, and then I tested out my scene to make sure it was working. Now, anytime I press that button and then open the garage door or the front door, my thermostat will turn down 2.5 degrees, and I will save money on my heating bill depending on how long I'm out of the home for. The great news is anyone who's leaving last can do the same thing. Now keep in mind that I can also adjust how much the thermostat is being turned down at any time just by adding additional button presses to the Thermostat settings. So if I'm coming home and I'm finding that we've dropped 2.5 degrees and I want to allow my home to go a little bit lower, I can add button presses or vice versa. But the problem with all of this for me is that on average, we're only out of the home about 4 hours a day. So that's not gonna move the needle very far on our heating costs. That darn not having a typical job thing biting me.
Bite me!
But the night is a great time to reduce the temperature. The ideal temperature for many people to sleep is between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you have a baby or a toddler, you don't want to take advantage of this as they need that temperature setting a little higher. But if you have a smart thermostat, again, you can schedule it to drop in the evenings, or even if you just have a scheduling feature on the thermostat, you can do that again. However, we have this all set up, so I'm going to use it. To use it for this, all I did was create another scene in SwitchBot's app. I chose that the condition is at 11 p.m. and ran that same Thermostat action. And this is where we should talk about reversing all of this at the right time. Obviously, you could wake up in the morning and turn up the thermostat, or when you get in the door, you could do the same thing. However, it's likely you'll forget this every so often, and this will become a pain. This is what automation is all about. You don't gotta think about it anymore. So if you have a second SwitchBot bot, you can make the reverse of all of your routine. The good news with what I've just shown you is that the contact sensors have an entry condition just like the exit condition. The difference here is that you don't have to press the button. The contact sensor knows you've entered the space by the door opening and then it's seeing motion right after. So we take a second bot, call it heater bot, attach it to the other side of the thermostat, and make the scenes look like this. The condition will be either of the contact sensors sensing an entry, and the action will be to press the action combo on of the heater bot, which would be set up for 5 button presses, just the same as Thermobot. The other scene I'll create is to get the heater bot to turn on at 7 a.m., turning our heat back up when it's time to wake up. For me, the temperature up button on my thermostat is in a funny place, and I had to do some work to get a bot close enough to that button. Think about that, because you'll want to reverse all of these actions you're taking with your thermostat. The other thing you could do is, if you can't get your thermostat turned back up because the buttons are too close or because you can't get a bot mounted right, is to use one of their meters and place that just above your thermostat and then have that send you a notification if the temperature is getting too low in your home. That will obviously cause you to turn back up the heat. With all of this done, I will have 12 hours out of the day with my temperature set at least 2.5 degrees Celsius less than what I would normally set it at. That's 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and when I put that into the tool, we get $1,837 US, or a reduction of 26.4%. That's just half the day though, so we're only gaining about 13% of a reduction in our home's heating costs through the winter. That's pretty good on its own though. But I did say 22.7%, didn't I? To do more, we have to look at the places where we lose a lot of heat. One of those places are our windows. Windows and doors, according to the Natural Resources Department of Canada, can contribute to up to 25% of heat loss, or in the summer, heat gain. And the Department of Energy in the United States has said that the proper management of window coverings can reduce heat gain or heat loss by up to 77%. So that means if we really tackle this well, we could reduce that 25% of our heating bill by 77% for an overall reduction of almost 19.25%. There's actually a really great paper from the Department of Commerce in the United States from way back in 1972 that was studying how they could become more energy efficient in the buildings that their government workers were in. They focused on how using the blinds in their homes could reduce their bills. There's all kinds of great information in the report, but today, the numbers that they came out with wouldn't work in our homes, at least not for the construction in most of our homes. However, they did come forward with 3 things that we should do to improve all of the windows in our home from a heat loss or heat gain perspective. Number 1, in the summer, lower the blinds and close them fully during the hottest part of the day. This was especially true on the south side of the building, or for you, windows that face the sun. Number 2, in any other season, leave the blind open to let daylight enter in. And number 3, in the winter, lower the blinds and close them fully at night to stop heat leaving your home. Now, I don't know exactly whether doing all of this on your windows will save you that 19%, but I'm pretty confident that this will be a big energy saver because those windows can let in a lot of the sun's energy at the right times and reduce our heat loss at other times. SwitchBot has 2 devices that can help you do this. Introducing the brand new Blind Tilt Controller. While it won't let you move the blinds physically up and down, you're going to gain a lot of the benefits detailed in that American study just by tilting the blinds open and closed at the right times. Their second device is a smart curtain driver. These will work in almost every home because they have 3 different curtains that they can manage: the rod, the I rail, and the U rail. So for me, all I have done in order to bring extra heating efficiency into my home is to create 2 new scenes. Here in Canada, during winter, the sun is barely in the sky. So at 11 a.m., I'm opening my curtains and I'm opening my blinds. At 5 p.m., the sun is fully gone and I close the blinds and close the curtains. I'll change these scenes when we get to summer. SwitchBot's solar panels actually provide a really great option there to optimize based on sun being directly on the curtains. So I'll use that too. But for now, these two simple routines can be created in the SwitchBot app, with Amazon and their voice assistant, with Google Home, or with If This Then That. And you'll probably have a ton of other ways that you can do this in your home. But the fact that I could create this routine in Amazon's app helped me to connect my Third Reality smart blinds and put those on the same schedule as my 3 SwitchBot blind and tilt devices and my 2 SwitchBot curtains. I'll still be left with 1 window covering in my home and lots of the loss through my doors, but regardless, I'm going to be saving a significant amount of energy by just optimizing my blinds and curtains this way. It won't be the 19% on its own, but it's safe to say that I've achieved half of that. So my total reduction is 13.2 plus 9.5%, which equals 22.7%. That kind of a reduction would give me 566 Canadian dollars back this year, and I haven't even dealt with summer air conditioning. And here's the thing. I added in smart plugs that go off at the same time as my Thermostat turns down the temperature. I put my PCs and Macs to sleep using If This Then That and a program called Assistant Computer Control. Basically, when I leave or go to sleep, I turn off my home. And all said and done, I'd save well over 80 kilowatt hours per month, which is another $12.80 a month. If you want to see how I did those things, I've made some very simple tutorial videos for you in the links below. Also, as I told you, I've partnered with If This Then That on the Energy Challenge, and they've created a place for all of us to tell the world how we're saving money and energy with our smart homes. So if you have an idea for how you're going to save money in your home by saving energy, follow the link below to the Energy Challenge website, where you can fill out a simple form to tell us how and to count yourself in. We're almost at $100,000 saved this year already. And people who fill out the form can win If This Then That Pro licenses for a year. And if you need more ideas, there's Paul's video, who came up with that amazing 318 pound savings for you next year. Plus, we have 20 other YouTube creators who've made videos with creative and impactful power saving ideas for you. That's all in the playlist that's up on screen now. So go tell Paul how bad I beat him today and get that power bill down. Otherwise, thanks for watching today. And of course, don't hate, automate.